I guess you're impatient to start designing the interface of the app. Well, you're about to. During this lesson, we'll transform the user stories into drafts of the screens. These drafts are called mockups. Mockups or wireframes are for web and mobile projects, while a blueprint is for architecture of buildings, a representation. They usually follow the Pareto rule and allow to quickly lay out how the app will work and what it will roughly look like. It's basically the 20% that represent 80% of the visual interface. Wireframes should be as bare as possible. You want to judge the user experience, not the look. So at this point, we won't be working on fonts or colors, for instance. The reason why we're doing that first is that when you start by designing a pixel-perfect UI right away, all the feedback you get from your team, from your potential users, and even from yourself is about colors, fonts, and alignment, and that's not what you're interested in right now. Right now, you want to make sure the concept of your app makes sense. When you sketch your concept on paper or on your computer, people talk about usefulness and usability of the product, not about aesthetic details. Once you've nailed the concept, you can start designing a more detailed version of the UI. When you're building mockups, you're building the layout of your app. And there is a very simple rule that you should keep in mind to organize your layout. Content is king. Almost every web or mobile app is in a way or another a tool for handling content. And behind the term content, there is a wide variety of things and formats. It can be news, messages, informations, in the form of text, photos, graphic representations, or maybe maps. But whatever the kind, content is central. So you should always start your reflection about the layout of your app by thinking about the best way to display your content according to what you want your user to do with it. The most common actions you can perform are creating, consulting, sharing, and managing content. It can be interesting to ask yourself for each of your screens what you're trying to do with your content. Our content is pictures, and depending on what we want the user to do, we won't display the pictures in the same way. They will be big when the user consults them and smaller when he shares them, for instance. There's a lot of apps, desktop or web-based, that are dedicated to building mockups. And you might find yourself working in a team where they use balsamic mockups, for instance. But all the designers I know who are working in Sketch do their wireframes in Sketch. It's very easy and simple, and it also means that you don't have to pay to buy one of the wireframe softwares. Besides, this would be a good way to get to know Sketch. For now, don't worry if you don't understand and if I don't explain what everything you see is for. I'll explain everything later. We're just going to play Lego, and all you need to know is how to copy and paste. In case you don't know, it's Command C to copy and Command V to paste. I've created a template that you can find in the files you've downloaded at the beginning of this course. It's in this course folder and it's called Mockups Template 1x. You can also find it in the templates folder. This template contains all the basic elements you need to build your mockups. Building mockups is a bit like playing Lego. You add bricks to come up with a representation of your future product. And thanks to Sketch, you can also edit the basic elements. It's like being able to change the size, the shape, or the colors of your Lego bricks. Pretty cool. This template is made of two parts, the elements and the iPhone frame. Each part is contained in an artboard. One here and one here. In Sketch, an artboard is a fixed frame inside the infinite canvas. This is the infinite canvas, and we have these two frames here, elements. You can see the blue outlines right there. So we have the elements artboard that contains all the bricks, all the elements you might need to start building your wireframes. And we have the iPhone frame artboard in which you will put these bricks. The artboard itself is the white part you can see here. This corresponds to the screen of the iPhone, for instance. The iPhone frame is just to help you visualize the interface within the iPhone. So we'll start with the navigation system. As you might remember from the previous videos, there are 5 main narratives that will shape the app. I want to take nice pictures and share them. I want to see my friends' pictures. I want to be able to see other people's picture, I want to know when people interact with my pictures, and I want to access my information and my pictures. These are starting points of 5 different flows, so we'll use a very common iOS pattern for navigation system, the tabs. So we'll copy and paste these 5 tabs bottom bar. Double click on it to select it, make sure the whole folder is selected over here. Press Command C and then select the screen frame, this artboard, and press Command V. So it copies and pastes the elements inside the screen. Let's zoom in a little bit. We can move the block around using the arrows on the keyboard or the mouse, just like this. You can see how Sketch helps you put it in place. The red line in the center tells us that the block is well centered, and the ones on the side indicate that both sides of the block touch the edge of the artboard. So let's put it just down there, make sure it's well aligned. Perfect. Our key feature, the ability to take beautiful pictures, will be placed in the center. So we'll change the label. Let's zoom in a little bit again. Double click over here on the label and double click again to select the text. And change the text to camera. Good. The first tab on the left will be our home page. So we can write feed. This will be the home page where the user can see his friends' pictures. Or maybe we can write home. That's better. The next tab is the Explore tab. So let's change that. Again, if you want to select the text, you have to click several times on it. This tab will be the Notification tab. And this one will be the Profile. Okay, great. Let's zoom out. We'll complete our navigation system with a top bar. Select the status bar just over here and the top bar one. You can do that in the artboard or in the left panel, and do the same thing that we did with the bottom bar. So copy and paste. Okay, now let's zoom in a little bit over here. The status bar seems to be well aligned. Let's just, okay, this is great. Make sure that you see this red line over here. It says that the two elements are well aligned next to each other. We don't need the back button, so we can just hit the backspace key to delete it. But we'll keep the other button for later. And we can change the label to home for now. Let's put it all caps. We could leave the sample icons in the tab bar. They would be completely fine for mockups. But let me just show you how to change them if you feel like you really need to. We'll start by selecting the camera icon in the Elements artboard. And we'll copy paste it in the iPhone frame artboard. In order to do that, press Command C with the icon selected. And on the left panel, in the screen artboard, select the bottom bar and press Command V to paste. If the element is copied outside of the artboard, just grab it and place it on the screen, on the iPhone screen. We'll place the camera icon on top of the star. Again, watch how Sketch helps us position the element. We'll then hide or delete the star icon. So go to the left panel, in the bottom bar folder and the Call to Action tab. To hide an element, click on the eye that appears when you hover over it. And to delete it, select the element and press the backspace key. So grab the camera in the left panel and put it in the Call to Action tab where the star icon was. Let's do the same thing with the other icons. We're going to pick the house for the Home tab, the world for the Explore tab, the bubble icon for the Notification tab, and the user icon for the Profile tab. We can select multiple elements and copy paste them at the same time. If you're picking elements on the artboard, hold the Shift key while clicking on the icons to select multiple items at the same time. If you're selecting them from the panel on the left, hold the Command key, because if you use the Shift key, it will select all the elements between the two elements you've clicked on. Okay, I'll show you another way to copy and paste these in the iframe artboard. Once they are selected, hold the Alt key and in the left panel drag them and drop them in the screen artboard just above the bottom bar folder. They will be copied in the same place in the screen artboard, so let's roughly position them where they belong. We'll put them in the right folder in the panel on the left. So we have the selected tab, which is currently the Home tab, and the three other icons will be in the Normal tab folder. To select an element inside a folder, click several times on it. The first click will select the first block or folder of elements, the second one the folder within it, etc., until you get to the final element. You can also hold the Command key, and this will allow you to directly select the element you want. Now, let's adjust the position of the icons. It's often more precise to use the arrows on the keyboard to position the element, so give it a try. But don't spend too much time on this. These are only mockups, not the final product. And finally, we'll change the color of the icons. To change the color, we'll pick one of the 4 shades of grey I've pre-selected for you for the mockups. Click on the link button at the top of the right panel to see them. So select the home icon and click on the white square, right? And select the 3 icons in the Normal tab folder and select the light grey. Good. Notice that I have hidden the icons that were there before. You can do the same thing by pressing the little I next to the name. Okay, so let's fold these folders. We can even fold this element artboard. Now that we have our navigation system sorted out, we have the basis of all our screens. The 5 tabs are the starting point for the 5 main stories that correspond to 5 different flows. So we'll copy the first screen 5 times to illustrate that. But before we do that, we'll group the status bar, the top bar and the bottom bar by selecting them in the left panel and going to Arrange, Group Layers. We can do the same thing by selecting them and pressing Command G. We'll name the group, double click on it, I'll name it Navigation, and we'll lock it so we don't risk messing things up when working on the content of the screens. So right click on it and select Lock Layer. When elements are locked, you can't select them in the artboard. This prevents from clicking and moving things by mistake. You can always unlock an element or a folder by clicking on the lock next to its name. See? Now I can select them. Okay, so right click on the iframe artboard, on the screen artboard in the left panel, and select Duplicate. Let's zoom out a little bit, maybe a bit more. If you hold the Shift key and press the down arrow key, this will move the artboard 10 pixels by 10 pixels. If you don't hold the Shift key, it will move, but only 1 pixel by 1 pixel. Okay, another handy way of doing this, so let's delete this one. Delete layers. Another way of doing this would be to select the artboard, select it, and go to Arrange and Make Grid. We'll have 5 rows and only 1 columns because we want to have it 5 times, and let's put 300 pixels margin. Make Grid. That's it. We have our 5 screens. Now let's give these artboard names that make sense. And let's order them properly. This is the top one, so we'll put it at the top right here, and we'll call it home. We'll give them the names of the tabs. Explore. See how the name changes over here when you change the name of the artboard. We've got screen here, so if we select it and change its name to camera, it should change as well. Look at that. Screen, notif, and profile. Great, now let's change the selected tab so we know where we are when we're zoomed in. To modify a locked layer, you don't necessarily need to unlock it. You simply have to work within the left panel instead of directly in the canvas. Go to navigation and to the bottom bar, go to the selected tab, and we'll move this rectangle over here to the right. It's 64 pixel wide, so let's put it 64 pixel away on the x-axis. Just type plus 64 and Sketch will do the math for you. This one is pretty easy, but it can be very useful. This is the x field in the position coordinates. Now we have to put the icons in the right folder, so select the Explore icon and select its label and drag them into the selected tab folder. And the Home and its label now belong to the normal tab. Last thing we need to do is change the color, so select these two elements and change the color to white, and now change the color of the Home and its label to light gray. We'll also change the title of the screen. So you go to top bar, home, hit enter, and now you can change the title. So here would be explore. Good. I'll let you do the same thing with the selected tab and the title for the notification and profile screens. And you can leave out the camera screen for now. Press pause now and hit play when it's done. So your notification screen should look like this, and your profile screen should look like this. If it's the case, good job. We left out the camera page because the navigation will be a bit different. This is our main feature, and we want to make sure people use it well, so we will reduce the number of options in the screen and keep only what's crucial to the completion of this user story flow. So we'll get rid of the navigation bar over here. Let's go to the camera, navigation, top bar, and get rid of it. And same thing for the bottom bar. Getting rid of these navigation bars will allow the user to keep a strong focus on the completion of this funnel. The whole screen will be dedicated to the completion of the task. And we can just keep the status bar here for now. Let's have a look at the key feature narrative to make sure that we know what we're doing. We'll try to have one or two of these steps only on each screen, so only one or two of these smaller stories. Let's plan the flow now. For each step, we'll add a small description at the bottom. This will allow us to be very clear with what we want the user to achieve in the screen we're designing. So select the text tool in the toolbar, or press T on your keyboard and click just below the iPhone frame. Change the text to I take a picture. If the text is white, like this, it might be the case, just select the text, make sure you have the text selected, and change the color to dark gray over here. Position it nicely. Okay. Now select the camera artboard by clicking on it in the left panel. We'll copy it, so Alt Alt and drag and drop it next to the preview screen, just like this. We'll add some text too, so press T and click just below the iPhone frame. We'll write, I can swipe to choose a filter. When I click a filter, it alters the image accordingly. Only 2C, not 3. Okay. We'll resize this field, so just grab the handle and resize it, just like that, and position it below the iPhone frame, just like this. Okay, we'll also change the name of the artboard, so double click on camera copy and change it to filters page. Okay, and duplicate the screen by doing the same thing we did for the previous one, so hold Alt and drag and drop the screen next to the previous one, like this. We'll add some text. What we can do is take this text box, hold Alt, and drag and drop it just below to copy it, and we can change the text. We'll write, I can add a description to my photo, and I can select the networks I want to show it on. That's it. We might need to resize it a bit, just like that. Okay, perfect. Now let's rename this page to share page, just like that. And finally, after the last screen, we add a text field that says, my picture is shared on my followers feed, and it is published to the Explore section if I get enough likes. So let's grab this text field, copy it over here, like this, and say, my picture is shared on my followers feed. It is published to the Explore section if I get enough likes. Okay, fine. We'll also add arrows to make sure that people understand the flow, even if it seems pretty obvious. We can grab the arrows in the element artboards. We can take these ones. You can hold the Command key to select the arrow. Press Command C, and then the right artboard and Command V. So we have the arrow just here. We can position it here. Perfect. And we'll copy paste it. Command C, Command V. Put it here. We'll also add one last one just right here. In case you were wondering what I just did, I just selected it and pressed Command C, Command V, so you see that it duplicated it. Okay, so let's group all these arrows and comments over here together. Select them all in the left panel and press Command D. We can rename the group to comments, and we'll lock the group so we won't mess with it by mistake. So right click and lock layer, like this, and that's it. Let's start filling the screens now. Select the image element in the element artboard, this one, and copy it. So select the camera artboard, press Command C, then select the camera artboard and press Command V. Okay, let's position it and center it roughly on the screen. Yep, see how Sketch helps us again. Why is the photo square? Well, here's what Kevin Systrom, Instagram's founder, has to say about this. we realized that if we were going to do photos, that would have to be different and stand out. Square photos displayed really well in the feed format, and frankly, we just liked the aspect ratio better. This is not uncommon. A part of Twitter's identity relies on the 140 characters constraint. Okay, so now we need a button to take the picture. A big and clear call to action. So let's zoom in a little bit. And click the shape button in the toolbar over here and select oval. Otherwise, you can also just press the O key on your keyboard, like this. Hold Shift. This will allow you to make a perfect circle. Not doing this would result in drawing an oval, like this. Okay, so let's draw this. We'll give it a width of 90 pixel, like this, and a height of 90 pixel too. We could also click this little lock so when we resize it, the proportions are kept, like this. See? We'll get rid of the border over here, like this, and we'll change the fill and make it dark to indicate that it's a strong call to action. Let's position it and center it roughly. That's it. Now grab the camera icon that we used earlier, this one, copy and paste it in the camera artboard. Where is it? Over here. And place it on top of the button. Now change the color by clicking this white square. And we'll resize it. So click the lock to make sure that the proportions are kept and give it a width of 40 pixel. Let's put it where it belongs. Yeah, right. So now we're going to group these two layers, and we can rename the button to Take Picture button. Okay, good. Once our user is here on this screen, his only option is to take a picture and go further. This is good, this is very focused, but we can't really not let our user go back. What are you supposed to do if you just click the camera tab by mistake? So we'll add a cancel button. Select the standard button on the top bar in the Elements artboard. Just over here, you can press Command to select the button. Make sure the whole folder with the label is selected. And copy-paste it in the camera artboard. Make sure it's really in the artboard and position it roughly like that. We'll rename it. You can just click on it or select the layer in the left panel that says label, and we'll change to cancel. Let's adjust the position of the image a little bit. Same thing for this button. That looks better. We'll also add an explanation for the first cancel button in the camera screen. So let's just add some text, press T, and say goes back to the page, the user was previously on. Put it here, and we'll copy paste one of these arrows. We have to select it in the left panel. This is the one. As usual, press Command C and Command V. Grab it over here, or you can do it because it's locked, obviously. You can move it with the arrows on your keyboard, just like that, and put it in place. Okay, so we'll move this a little bit as well. and grab one of the handles of the arrow to change its orientation. And move it with the arrows keys on the keyboard. Okay, should be fine for now. Maybe we can change the color of this text because we can't see it really well. Make sure that it's the dark gray that is selected, and put this text inside the comments with the other comments and the arrows. I think it's time for us to save for the first time. Don't forget to do that from time to time, otherwise you could be really frustrated. Normally you would have to press Command S to save, but as this is the first time we're saving and as we're working in a template, it's better to duplicate the file first. So go to File, Duplicate, and this will create a new version of this file. Now we can save this file by pressing Command S or going to File, Save, and choose wherever you want to place your file. And change its name, obviously, to exercise file, for instance, whatever. I'm pressing Cancel here, but you have to press the Save button to save, obviously. Okay, let's take care of the next step, the Filters page. In this screen, we want the user to choose a filter and see it modify the image live. So we'll copy and paste this image from the previous screen in the new screen, just like this. We'll keep a similar interface. We'll just replace the Take Picture button with a list of the filters preview. So copy and paste this big image just below, like this. And make sure the lock is locked to keep the proportions, and give it a width of 80 pixels. Let's zoom in a little bit. Put the filter in place and duplicate it 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. The last one should be partially outside the screen to show that the user can swipe horizontally. Now select the 4 little images and click the Distribute Horizontally button just over here. The 2 elements on the outside stay in the same place, and the ones in between will be evenly distributed. That means that the blank spaces between each of the selected elements will be the same. Okay, so we'll use checkboxes to indicate which filter is selected. Select in the artboard elements. Select the checkboxes, this one, and copy paste them in the filters page artboard. Just make sure that you put them in the right artboard, like this. Let's put the filters here, and we'll put the checkbox just above the first filter, and one unchecked box on top of 3 other filters. Make sure to select the whole folder, because if you select only one of the circles, like I just did, this won't work. So copy and paste it, and use the arrows on the keyboard to make sure they're in place, like this. Copy and paste it again. Okay, so the big image seems to be a bit too low, so let's put it a bit higher. We'll also add 2 buttons, one to validate here and one to go back in case the user wants to change his picture. So go to the Elements artboard, and in the top bar 2, this one, select the back button and the CTR button, and we'll copy paste them in the filters artboard. So press Command C and select the filters page, But we won't use Command V this time to paste them. We'll go to the filters page right here. You can zoom in a little bit if you want. We'll right click on the artboard like this and we'll select paste. This is a more precise way of pasting elements. So position the buttons. Like this, and change the labels. We'll write camera and next. And we'll also add labels to the filters. So press T and click just below the first filter, change the text to filter, make sure it's well aligned with the image, that's it. Select the text field and press Command C, Command V to copy paste it. Then use the arrows while holding Shift to move it correctly. If you want to adjust it, just use the arrows without holding Shift. This will only move the element 1 pixel by 1 pixel. Once again, holding Shift will allow you to move the element 10 pixels by 10 pixels. So do that 3 times. Next step is the share screen, that screen. So let's go to the element artboard and we'll use the top bar too, that one that we used before. So copy it, select share page and right click on the artboard. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit and make sure it's well aligned, like this. And we'll delete this button because we don't need it. Next, we want to allow the user to add a description to his picture. So this will be very simple, a text field for the caption and a text field for the location. Let's have a look at the elements. Okay, so we'll use this thumbnail text field and this regular text field. Copy them and paste them in the right artboard. Okay. Let's put that one here, that one here. Perfect. We'll change the text to add a caption and add a place. Let's move the text field a little bit because we want to add an icon over here. We'll choose this place icon. Don't know if you can see it, this one. So copy it. Let's unzoom. Select the share page and paste it right here. Great. You can adjust the position by using the arrows, and we'll change the color to a lighter shade of gray, just like this. Okay, next part of the screen is I can select on what networks I want to share my picture on. So we'll add a title, press T and click just below the text field and write share, all caps, just like this. We could make it medium or bold. Let's make it medium. Make sure it's aligned on the left. Good. And we'll use this table, the table 3 by 2. Copy it and paste it over here. Position it like that. We'll change the labels to Facebook, email, Flickr, Twitter, Tumblr, and Foursquare. We can even add the icons, so we'll move the labels a little bit to make some space for the icons, like this. We'll go to the Elements artboard. We have Twitter, Foursquare, Facebook, Foursquare, Tumblr, and Flickr. We'll copy them, go to the share page, and paste them here. Let's put them where they belong. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Oh, we forgot the email icon. Flickr, Foursquare. Take some time to adjust them. Let's grab the email icon. This one. Copy and paste it where we want to paste it. Okay, now we'll change the color of the icons so they match the color of the text. Like this. And to show that, for example, when Facebook is selected, we'll change the color to a darker shade of gray. And finally, we'll change the labels of the navigation buttons. The CTA, which will be, CTA means call to action, by the way. Share, that's it, will be back. Great, I think our first flow is finished now. Looks pretty cool, right? We now know how the user is going to make his picture look cool and share it easily. In the next lesson, we'll continue working on the mockups and we'll take care of the 4 of the main flows.